In just a few blocks of Lower Manhattan, you can pass through centuries of New York City history. And today, we're walking straight through it. Our walk begins where New York City's story takes root, and from there, the city unfolds block by block. And we are here to visit Federal Hall. Now, the entrance fee for this is free. I will tell you, though, that twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, depending on the season, they do tours of Federal Hall. We have missed those tour times, but we are going to go in and have a look around. And so if you don't know, the reason why our dear first President George Washington is standing on the steps is this was the original capital of these United States. He took his oath of office here on these stairs, and this was the Capitol building until everything moved to Washington. All right, as I mentioned, they are open Monday to Friday, 10 to 5, and closed on the weekends. That's why you want to come here during the week. So as I mentioned on the street, you can take a tour with a Park Service ranger, but at present it's only twice a day. And we missed the tour today. And this exhibit is about defense of the free press. And Alexander Hamilton was the attorney for the defense. That Alexander Hamilton, he keeps popping up everywhere. But apparently he defended Zinger here against the royal governor for printing pamphlets talking about how corrupt the governor's administration was prior to us becoming our own country. Here, it's our dear Federal Hall, 1789 to 1790. So in this building, the United States Constitution was put into practice. Washington, Adams, Hamilton, Jefferson, Madison, they all worked here within the government's first 18 months. This is where the Bill of Rights was passed and a court system was created and executive departments were established. So this building, 1842 to 1862, housed the U.S. Customs, and in 1862, it became the New York branch of the Independent Treasury System, which, thank you again, Alexander Hamilton, your name just keeps coming up. And inside these rooms, hundreds of clerks and inspectors counted, sorted bills and notes, and searched for counterfeit money, and wrote pension checks to Civil War vets. Let's go into the rotunda here. Whoa. Whoa. What? Wow. Wow, look at all of these spaces. So from 1862 to 1920, Abraham Lincoln converted this building from a U.S. Customs house into a branch of the United States Independent Treasury System. And this small vault and the one across the rotunda and the rooms behind them were used to store large sums of money. So this is a replica of George Washington's presidential desk. While he was residing here in New York, Congress provided him with a desk, and it would have looked like this. The original desk is currently in the governor's room at City Hall. And here's a portrait of George Washington being inaugurated on that fateful day. So George Washington was inaugurated President of the United States on April 30th, 1789, in a building that stood on this site. Songs, chairs, cannons, salutes, all the things. Washington placed his hand on a large Bible to take the oath of office. His first act as president was to make the inaugural address to Congress. So thankfully, the park ranger gave us some more details, and let's set the record straight. So first off, this railing is a piece of the railing that was on the building that originally stood here when George Washington took his oath of office. It was Federal Hall at the time. This is an artist's rendering of what that building would have looked like, and where his statue stands today is approximately where that balcony would have sat at the time. This building here, depicted here, was knocked down in 1812 because that's what we do here in New York. We knock things down. And then this building subsequently was erected in its space. So the two things that are original in this building, as I've been able to see so far, to the inauguration is this railing, which is a piece of the railing that was on that balcony in this depiction, and across the way, the slab. Let's go over there. And here we go. This is the slab that I was talking about. We showed this earlier. That is where he stood. That's where the railing came from. And according to the ranger, they poured cement over it and then put the engraving in so that it could be memorialized. So not the actual building. This is the building that subsequently replaced it, but we have the spot he stood on, we have the railing from where he was standing, and his statue approximates about where he was standing that day.
The New York Stock Exchange has been a symbol of American finance for more than 2 centuries. What began as a small group of traders meeting under a buttonwood tree has grown into one of the most influential financial centers in the world. The Fearless Girl statue originally stood facing the Charging Bull, a temporary installation that quickly became a global symbol. While she's since been relocated, her presence here across from the New York Stock Exchange still sparks conversation about power, visibility, and representation in the financial world.
Now over here is the bowl. We're gonna get a quick shot of the bowl, but here is another place that you should get to sooner rather than later if you want a clear picture of the bowl. And this is a very active causeway, if you will, but here is the infamous bowl. Again, get here early if you really want to get a photo of this without all of the people. And we are now at Bowling Green. We are almost at the southern tip of the island of Manhattan. And what we're going to do is we're going to go across Bowling Green Park here. Let's head on in. We're going to go across Bowling Green Park, and we are going to hop in really quick to the National Museum of the American Indian, just across the way there. All right, so this museum is a Smithsonian museum. It, I believe, is free admission. We'll double check that in just a moment. And this used to be the U.S. Customs House. And so the Smithsonian museums are not just in Washington, D.C. You can find a smattering of them throughout the country. And this is one that we're going to step into. I'm excited to go into here for the very first time. And there's that name again, Alexander Hamilton. So this building was named in his honor as the Alexander Hamilton United States Custom House, and that was done by President George Bush, but it doesn't say which George. But either way, 1991. So we know which George that was then. And we are moving on. It is beautiful in here. The permanent exhibits are on this floor. So across the way is about the various nations, and then over to the right here are the New York tribes. So I think we'll go into the New York tribes first. She said down in the basement they also have interactives and things for kids to do. Okay, we are headed into this exhibit, Native New York. This is the West Gallery. So we're going to see who is a native New Yorker. So the Lenape tribe, they were the original inhabitants of the island of Manhattan. And the reason why we call it Manhattan is because it was named Manhattan, was the original name of the land that we're standing on. So the iron workers were known, a good portion of them, for being Native Americans and otherwise known as skywalkers. And they built a lot of the tall buildings that you see here in the city. So the iron workers are from the Mohawk Nation. Other Native nations in northern New York State and Canada have all helped to build the famous landmarks that you see here in the city. And this is something that spans 6 generations, and essentially it is a family business for some of them. And so what we're learning here is that lacrosse is originally a Native American sport played by the Iroquois for generations. So this exhibit is talking about the Native American peoples who were in the Niagara Falls region and how to adapt to the changing times. They began to sell beaded items at the falls. And trading at Niagara Falls is nothing new. It's something that they had done for many a generation. So this is the museum's modern and contemporary art collection. And you see works of art here that were created back in the 40s all the way through the 2000s. And so here we're going into Infinity of Nations. This is another of the permanent collections here. Multiple tribes are represented in this space. And I was just saying to the little guy, these are baby carriers before baby carriers are baby carriers. So these are called cradle boards. And they are from various tribes. One from Colorado, one on the left, and one on the right is from a tribe in Idaho. So there are some Canadian tribes represented here. In fact, most of these are Canadian. Some are Alaskan tribes. And what we're seeing are various pieces of art, various pieces of everyday use items, all here on display. Again, Canadian and Alaskan tribes. There are some Greenland tribes as well. So while we've missed it on this visit to the museum, I did want to point out that here on the first floor there's an Imaginations activity center for kids, and it's closed already for the day because it's 4:30. But I'm just taking a peek in here. This is a kids activity center, so there's plenty of things to touch and whatnot for the kiddos, but it is closed. So what else is down here on the other side is an exhibit called the Diker Pavilion for Native Arts and Cultures. So this space seems to be showcasing artisans from recent time. So what you have here on the top is a hat that was made in 2017, and on the bottom right is a hat that was made in 1890. So we are paying homage to contemporary artists in this space. This is Marvin Oliver, and this is 2014. This particular piece was done. We have Gideon Fernandez, and this piece was done by Gideon in 2014, and he's from Peru. Okay, we are taking a quick spin in the gift shop, and then we're gonna head on out. Ooh, I love the way they kept the cages in here. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. Amazing. So these pieces are actually Navajo. So if you were looking for a genuine piece of native, handcrafted, native jewelry, looks like this is where you could come. Look at this t-shirt. I'm gonna have to get something from here to support this museum. I'm thinking this t-shirt, because it's got a nice V-neck. If you've been hanging around with me for a minute, you know I love a V. But there's plenty of jewelry here. And because the store is closing in 15 minutes, I don't have enough time to really go through the jewelry. But I'm just gonna see if there's a t-shirt I like better than this. If not, this is coming home with me. Okay, so we are officially, just about at the southern tip of the island of Manhattan. So we have left the U.S. Customs House, where you'll find the Native American Museum, which we just learned was more than Native American. And we are headed towards the area where you can find yourself at Battery Park, which used to be a fort. And in addition to that, you will find the Staten Island Ferry as well. Okay, and this is Water Street. So in the before times, this was water. So a lot of what you see on the opposite side of the street is landfill. As we were discussing from the top of One World Observatory, a lot of this area is landfill. But right across the street there, you will find your way over to the Staten Island Ferry. There are also a number of subway stops there. And off to the right, you will find Battery Park. And in that park, there's a fort. That's where you'll go to find your tickets and the boat over to the Staten Island Ferry and to Ellis Island and the Circle Line. All of those things would be over there in that park. And just as a little directional, Statue Cruises is the only authorized boat that will take you over to Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. Make sure that you don't get tickets from any other company but this one, and that's where you will find it off to your right. And here's a closer look at the Staten Island Ferry. Here is something else for you, Francis Tavern. This is at Pearl and Bridge Street, right off of water. This is one of the oldest operating pubs, I think, in the country, certainly in New York. So General George Washington said farewell to his troops, located in a room called the Long Room on the second story of this building right here on December 4th, 1783. So this is infamous or famous, depending on how you want to view it, tavern. You can come in here and get a meal, make a reservation, and I understand there's also a museum in here that you can visit for a fee. Okay, so we are now headed over to a little area called Stone Street. And if you happen to be in this neighborhood, this is one of the places that we can highly recommend you come and sit yourself down for a meal.
Stone Street is one of the oldest streets in New York City. Dating back to the Dutch colonial era, it was originally a trading route and one of the first streets to be paved with stone, which was a rarity at the time. Today, it's known for its restaurants and nightlife, but its layout hasn't changed much in centuries. Lower Manhattan is just one of those places where every stop connects to the next. From City Hall Park and the Oculus to One World Observatory, Trinity Church, and everything in between. This walk is just one piece of that story, and if you want to keep exploring, the rest of our Lower Manhattan journey is waiting for you in the New York City playlist, which we'll link for you above and below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, hype, turn on the notification bell so that you know when the next adventure begins. And no matter where your next adventures take you, we hope that you enjoy the journey. Bye now.